Been promising to take a big stick to power companies as customers reel from electricity prices that have risen. Among the reasons is profiteering by wholesalers and so-called gold plating of the distribution network. But there's another. Gas is a vital part of the electricity generation market, and with Australia on track to be the largest exporter in the world, that's causing huge problems for local manufacturers and anyone who pays a power bill. Here's Dan Ziffer.
As ageing coal stations have been closed and renewables have been subsidised to grow in strength, gas-fired plants like this one in inner-city Melbourne have played an important role in meeting the fluctuating daily energy needs of the national electricity market.
It's the gas price that determines the electricity price on the East Coast, but neither party wants to own up to that because they've both been culpable in allowing this situation to develop.
Massive projects begun a decade ago to export liquefied natural gas, or LNG, mean domestic prices have risen to meet global ones. So the price of producing power using gas has soared.
Since 2014-15, all of the price rises we've seen in both gas and electricity have resulted from this crazy situation where we're exporting gas.
Locked-in contracts to ship gas to Asia mean there's not enough left in Australia for domestic use, causing steep price rises for companies like petrochemical manufacturer Qenos. The power bill at its Port Botany plant has soared.
In 2016 we paid $8 million for electricity, and in 2018 we paid $18 million. That's just for the commodity. That doesn't include network charges and other costs.
The company has let go of 15% of its workforce in just the past year and a half.
It's a consequence of a failure of government policy at all levels, state and federal, Liberal and Labor, over a long period of time. We have plenty of gas in this country. We have an abundance of hydrocarbon. We're blessed, and there's more than enough for both domestic and export customers.
Gas to produce electricity is one problem. Gas for industry is another. The Australian Workers' Union says it is dealing on a daily basis with companies looking to cut employee numbers, pay or conditions because they can't secure gas.
They can't get decent long-term prices and decent long-term contracts, and as a consequence they're making some dire sacrifices which ultimately destroy Australian jobs.
Gas that was $4 a gigajoule in 2015 spiked to nearly $20 2 years ago. A flooded Asian market means it sells for around $7.50 in Japan, but $10 here. In April 2017, then Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull imposed restrictions on exports. But the companies that export are ignoring the price they're meant to sell at.
Australian households and businesses are currently subsidising Japanese households and businesses' energy consumption.
The government says its restrictions have worked and new gas projects will help further. It's investing $8.4 million to fast-track fracking in the Northern Territory's Beetaloo Basin. Labor says it will assess new gas projects on the basis of their contribution to domestic supply and introduce a price trigger to stem exports if prices rise too high. The situation has become so dire, there are now proposals for LNG import terminals in New South Wales and Victoria. If they're built, a crazy situation may occur. Gas drilled in Bass Strait or Queensland will be refined and piped to Gladstone. There it will be frozen to minus 162 degrees Celsius, transforming it from a gas to a liquid. Loaded onto a ship, it will exit Australia via the Great Barrier Reef to Japan, where it will be taken onshore and turned into a gas. Then it will be frozen again, turned back into a liquid, shipped to the new import terminals in Australia, turned back into a gas and put back into the national gas grid.
It's absolutely insane.
The proposition is mad.
Well, it seems crazy that a country like Australia with so much hydrocarbon is in a situation where we've got boats going out of Gladstone loaded up with LNG, and they're passing boats coming into Australia loaded up with LNG to meet our domestic market requirements.
This is an East Coast problem. The Western Australian government has reserved 15% of gas from its export projects for domestic use. It's now wooing eastern seaboard companies to come and enjoy the bounty. Economists, unions and manufacturers are demanding federal government action to reserve gas for the rest of the nation before it's too late.
Well, we need action on this issue. Otherwise, we're going to see a lot of manufacturing jobs disappear out of this country.
Whoever is in government on Sunday inherits the problems of power.